All right, Chris, thanks very much. Well, at a time when our nation has run up over $1 trillion in student loan debt, a viewer asked, what happens to those loans if a loved one's no longer alive to pay them? As a parent or a spouse, are you potentially still on the hook for thousands of dollars in debt for an education you never got? Well, here to help us break down the issue, attorney Paul Harding from the law firm of Martin, Harding and Mazzotti. Paul, good to have you with us. Kind of a tough topic, but I'm sure that there are specialized cases where this applies, and the question is someone responsible for somebody else's student loan debt who has passed away?
You know, more than ever now, because student loan debts, in fact, my day was about 10 years would be the maximum. Now they go out to 20 plus years. Yeah. So people are getting older, and unfortunately, some are passing away before that. A federal guaranteed student loan on the date of death, as long as you just have to show the birth certificate or the death certificate, and the loan is dissolved, the loan goes away. So in the federal loans, that debt goes away with the death of the person.
Unfortunately, for a lot of people, there are also those private loans that they take, and what happens with those?
There's the tricky part, because what happened is, you know, student loans are from the federal government do not pay. We all know that with the cost of education these days. So those loans do not go away, and historically, you get someone to co-sign, usually a parent or a relative, and on your death, they're generally on the hook for those loans.
And if you have co-signed, is there anything you can do up front even to sort of protect yourself against that kind of eventuality? I mean, nobody's thinking in those terms.
No, they're not. No, they're not. There are private loans that do have that same thing the federal loans have, that on date of death that the loan goes away. They're very few and far between, so you would look for that. But also, if someone does die, ask for forbearance, ask for 6 months, and they'll hold the loan for that amount of time. You may have to go in and liquidate some assets of the deceased, or maybe give yourself a chance to start saving some money to pay back those loans yourself.
And any other advice just sort of to protect yourself from this kind of situation?
Maximize the federal guaranteed student loans for all the reasons that we talked about. If you get a private loan, look to see, you know, if it does have that component to it on death, you don't have to pay. But right now, there's been a bit of a shift in paradigm. Schools are fighting for students. So sit down with your school you want to apply to, maximize anything they may have, loans, work study, etc. Obviously, it goes without saying, less student loans, less headaches when you get out.
Boy, that's a good point. I don't think any of us would have thought of this. So if we hadn't had a sharp viewer who wrote in and needed an answer.
Great question.
Yeah, for sure. And that leads perfectly into telling you, if you have a question for anyone from Martin, Harding and Mazzotti, if you have a question for Paul, you can email them to whatareyoutrights@cbs6albany.com.